Hello, America, and to our friends around the world, greetings. Welcome back. Well, yesterday we covered the story out of Utah of the gruesome ending of little Gavin by his stepmother. And today, out of lawandcrime.com, woman hit 9-year-old in head with pot for doing dishes wrong, made him place hand on table and broke his finger. This was almost a month ago. Daniela Raymond, pictured there, center, 33, Florida, accused of seriously injuring a 9-year-old boy, taken into custody, charged with one count, aggravated child abuse. How can this be one count? It's reckless endangerment, it's aggravated assault, it's, you know, I'm not a lawyer, but there are so many other charges that could have been thrown at her. You know, endangerment, officers with Miami-Dade, well, that's the reason right there. Miami-Dade. They responded to the 111th Street address. Responders said they made contact and the child told them what had happened. Probable cause that Raymond had become angry after he had washed the dishes because she did not approve of the way he had completed the task. Raymond allegedly reacted by grabbing a kitchen pot and striking him on the head with it, causing a large laceration on his scalp. So it wasn't enough to beat this 9-year-old with a pot. She then broke his finger. Remember that scene in Fight Club where Brad Pitt has Edward Norton sit there and hold out his hand and he pours the base compound, base being the opposite on the scale of acid. And Brad Pitt, before before the revelation that it's the same guy, um, Brad Pitt tells him, "Nope, no going to your happy place," or it wasn't. He didn't call it his happy place, but no mental tricks to you know get away from the pain. Um, but yeah, I mean, imagine a scene such as this. You're 9 years old and you haven't even developed the skills to develop a way of blocking out pain. And this adult, this person whom abuses you routinely, is telling you to put out your hand and you know what's coming. This woman is power mad and she only got one count. I mean, this is ridiculous. At the very minimum, it should have been two separate incidents, two separate charges. So she used a kitchen utensils to beat him on his arms and back before kicking him in the stomach. America, we've got a problem. And I appreciate the those of you that watch these, but there's not many of you that watch these, and there's not many others that are attempting to inform society of the dangers that are creeping up on us. Well, that's not actually true. It's not creeping up on us. It's here. It's been creeping up on us for the last 25 years. but now it is firmly entrenched. And this has to change, but nobody's offering any solutions. My solutions, I know, are considered extreme, but in order to get the pendulum to move, you've got to pull it. You ever put a child on a swing? What do? You know, obviously with one that's afraid, you're not going to do this, but you pull the swing with them back as far as you can walk back with it, holding them up and letting it go. That way they can maximize the full swing to go back and forth with their, to teach them how to pump their legs to get themselves to be able to do it for themselves. Yeah, and that's what's going on here is my calls, yes, are extreme that these women abusers must be held to account, and probably more so than the men because they've been given a blank check for all these years to be this violent. And that is the way to deter it. I'm not a fan of it because the Innocence Project has demonstrated without question, and the Kill 'Em All Harris campaign has demonstrated government officials are willing to turn a blind eye to it, and that is men wrongfully convicted being exonerated, being forced to stay on death row or stay in prison no matter what the evidence is. These women must be held to account to that standard and greater because of their abuse. They've been given a privilege, they've abused it. Now it's time to reset that privilege. And the best way to do it is by overreacting and then dialing it back. So the woman, Daniela Raymond, sat for an interview, but her statement was reportedly redacted from the affidavit. Isn't that fraud? The relationship between Raymond and the child was not revealed. Raymond was detained, transported, and booked into the Turner Guilford Night Correctional Center. She is currently being held without bond. She appeared in court on Wednesday, and this was obviously the end of April, where she pled not guilty. So I haven't had a chance to follow up on this case. This is the first time I'm reading about it. And the comments here, uh, Princess Erica the Radiant, this is what happens when cartoons and comics portray women hitting men with frying pans as being humorous. That is actually, that is something that I observed as a child. There were two comic strips that I remember seeing, and one would be whether it was in cartoons or comic strips of the woman with the rolling pin or the frying pan, implying that the man better, obey her or else. The other one was a man on his day off, relaxing, but being demanded to do the quote unquote honey-do list. And I always was annoyed with both of those because even at 10 years of age, I could understand that that was social conditioning. Before I was even aware of what social engineering and social conditioning were, I was aware of what it represented. And my parents even told me, "Oh, just knock it off. It's supposed to be funny, blah blah blah." And they were even dismissive of it and programmed to accept it as reality. But that her comment is right. This is what happens when you allow pop culture to infect in an insidious manner this kind of abuse. And somebody said she should receive the same kind of justice she gave him. Somebody offers a similar item, but nothing about how the court case is going. So if you have any information on Daniela Raymond and how this is going, please let me know in the comments, because that is how we combat this. This is how we spread awareness, is by each of us doing a little bit of due diligence research, sharing the citation link so that everyone can follow up with what has happened and what is proceeding to happen. For example, I make reference to Emily Nutley, the lead guidance counselor, the head guidance counselor at the Ohio All Boys Catholic School, who is scheduled for sentencing in 3 weeks? Yeah, just over 3 weeks, June 10, for her inappropriate adult interactions of abuse with a minor child. Um, I've made comment about her smiling as she walked into court to change her plea from not guilty to guilty. And I wouldn't be smiling. I'd be like, oh my gosh, I just changed my plea to guilty. I'm going to have the book thrown at me. I certainly wouldn't be smiling. And that tells me that she has most likely made a deal with Judge Jennifer Branch to change her plea, and she will get probation. But we won't find out for 3 to 4 weeks. The same thing with this Daniela Raymond. This was a month ago. There should be some kind of progress made on the case to know exactly what has happened. Let me know if you found out. Let everybody else know of this situation, because only together can we make certain to educate everyone in society. Anyone who attempts to say, oh, but that's different, ask them how it's different. Ask them how it's different when an unaccountable woman attempts to to end a boy, as demonstrated with yesterday, the case of the woman stepmother. How is that different? How is that acceptable? How is abuse on any level acceptable? Call them out on it. You may not get the response or a reconciliation of, oh wow, I never thought of it that way, as a response. It's not about a direct observable win. It's about inoculating them from the mind virus that has infected them. That challenge, if handled without emotion, just directly stated, how does it being a woman make it acceptable, is going to worm its way through their mind. And if not that person in, directly with whom you're interacting, those that are around you that are hearing it, at least one of them will have it work its way through their system and begin to inoculate them from this mind virus that has infected all of society. Protect your children. Get them out of the public schools. Take care of them yourself. Identify and challenge anybody who would ever do harm to them, because they are your legacy.